the Everything But Politics podcast.
Happy Monday to all those who celebrate, and welcome back to this week's edition of the Everything But Politics podcast. Joining us is a man we strive to look like when we're his age, owner of Gary Nance Design and Fitness Enthusiast. Gary Nance, welcome.
I appreciate it, you guys. This is quite an exciting event for me. So I appreciate the opportunity of being here talking with you today.
Absolutely. It is our honor to be with you. Gary, before we kind of get into the swing of things, I would love if you could give our listeners a brief background into who you are.
Well, I'm one of these lucky guys that have known I was going to be in the design and architecture business since I was 4 or 5 years old. I was that weird little kid who always had the blocks and building things and sketching. And I always knew I was going to become in the design and architecture business. And so I would, all through grade school and high school, I'm always doing sketching and different things and work construction, residential construction every summer for a very prominent builder here in the Carmel, Indianapolis area. I never had to look for a summer job. I worked for him all through college, all through high schoh. And he was a hockey coach of mine for a while and a great guy. And so that's what I do. I do very high-end residential homes, mainly focusing on resort homes. And we have them going up in Michigan, North Carolina, Montana, Florida. But I also do very large single-family homes in specific areas as well. But I'm known for my lake homes.
Beautiful. Yeah, and I've seen a couple of these homes you're doing. They're absolutely no joke, right? But
they are no joke. And a lot of times we take them from A to Z. Not only do I do the design and the look of the house, also the interiors with the fireplaces, now the shelves look and the trim. And then I typically coordinate the builder, the interior designer, the kitchen people. I'm really the quarterback for these projects. And a lot of them, you guys, we take them from A to Z. Now, we charge for it, but the clients at this level, they want that kind of attention. And, I'll get a text or an email from somebody at 2 a.m. because they've had a thought about something. Now, I'm not going to answer them at 2 a.m, but they know that I'll get it and I'll respond first thing in the morning. But we handle it too, where when they move in, you guys, they're walking in with the clothes on their back. We've already got their toothbrushes in the drawers, toilet paper on the rack. Sheets are beds are made, sheets are pressed, towels are in the cabinet, plates, silverware, forks, glasses, their favorite liquor, it's all done. They're walking in. Now, that's not in every case, but anymore, it's about 75% that way. So it's a full service deal.
And Gary, when you first started, was it like that, or did you have to grow into building these or designing these much bigger homes?
No, I grew into it. It evolved over the years, and with the economy and different things changing, that's what precipitated that whole direction towards that full service. Because, the clients, I got to realize that they would, they're calling the builder, and then they're calling this guy, and they're calling this guy. And if they can narrow it down to just the builder and I, they love that because they're also very busy. They're obviously successful in what they do, and they don't have a lot of time to screw around. So, they want the answers and let's go. As an example of a couple of big projects going right now up in northern Michigan, I'll go up for a day or two, about every 2 weeks to check on it. Even though we've got the best plans, the best builders, the best teams you could ever ask for, everybody's spectacular. We all work together. There's none of this finger pointing bullshit. We're all on the same team. And that's what really makes it work for the clients.
That's special stuff. So I'm sure as your fitness evolution, has grown and you've become much stronger, both physically, mentally, spiritually, whatever the case may be, these 2-week trips they've become much easier, I would imagine, right? Than they would have in the past couple of years.
Oh, it does. As an example, I was walking a lot up in northern Michigan about a month ago, hilly. And, I was thinking when I was doing it, there were times I'd be going, or even when I was working on a project out in Montana at 6,500 feet, I started to get sick and had to go sit in the truck, when we're doing a stakeout of the property. And, I don't have that issue now. It's just like, go, go, go. And it's interesting you mentioned that because I had a client hired me about a year ago and he goes, Gary, I couldn't decide whether to hire you or not, because I thought my architect is also gets on stage, and I don't know if I want that combination. And then he goes, I thought about that. And he goes, if he can take care of himself, he can take care of me.
No doubt.
That's cool.
And I thought
No
that
doubt.
was a great solution.
It's also like how you carry yourself physically,
Yeah,
right? I mean, there's a
absolutely.
presence when you walk into a room versus someone that doesn't take care of themselves.
Well, that's exactly right. And also with this business, like any businesses, you get stressed out and everything else. I would probably be dead with a heart attack by now had I not got myself in shape. And we'll get into some of that here in a little bit, I'm sure. But it's just given me the energy level to take things to a whole nother level at this age. And people are just shocked about it, as well as myself. I never expected to be looking like this at 71.
So, Gary, how long has this fitness journey of yours been going on? When did you start really getting serious about your health?
Well, here's what happened. My son got married, 11 years ago now. And it was a destination wedding in Jamaica. And I knew I gained weight. But I didn't know I was that fat. And the wedding pictures of me on the beach with a yellow shirt on, I looked like a big lemon drop. It was horrible. And I'm looking at these wedding pictures. I think I'm looking cool in a yellow shirt and white linen pants. I look like Humpty Dumpty at the beach. And my wife goes, see how bad you look? And so she pushed me into losing weight. That's how it started. It was purely to lose weight. And then with me being OCD and everything, all the other crazy things that go on in a guy's mind who does this kind of work, I took it to the extreme, and here we are today.
Wow. Yeah, and your transformation is incredible. Something that I, was really taken aback by was waist size 46 to 34. That is significant. That is a significant difference. What did you do with all those pants?
I'm sorry?
What did you do with all those pants?
I saved one pair. And when I hold the pair up, I can slide myself into one leg.
That's too funny. That's crazy, right? And how long did that transformation take?
Well, it took about 2 years. And I was with this young trainer, and he was a sharp kid and really kept pushing me because I would have quit a million times. And it started out, he goes, Gary, I don't want you eating any in-ground vegetables. I don't want you eating any corn, even though that's above ground. No bread, no fresh fruit after 10 a.m. Of course, no liquor. And you'll have one cheat day a week to do whatever you want to do. And then after a while, it took a good 8 months before I started really seeing a big change. And he put me through some different exercises but not really, bodybuilding, just light weights and more core stuff. And he was great because I would have quit 20 times. And I kept going. And then finally he came to me and he goes, hey, buddy of mine is in a bodybuilding show. I think we should go see it. And I said, I'm not really interested. And he goes, no, you should go. I said, all right. So it was a setup, you guys. He got me there and we were in the second row. And these guys are coming out. And, you see them in the magazine, but I've never been to a show. And he had a bodybuilding coach sitting next to me. And he goes, hey, Gary, I think we're going to have you do this in a year from now. I said, I don't think so. And it kept going on and on. And you'll have to, this guy that helped me lose the weight, real mild-mannered guy, but just a wonderful personality. And he turned over to me and he goes, listen, you son of a bitch, I've saved your life because I was pre-diabetic, had kidney issues, heart issues. You're going to do this for me. So I went home, talked to my wife. She goes, try it, see what you think. And that's how it got started.
Wow.
That's
wonderful.
That first show, I came in dead last.
Gary, when you were training with him, how consistently were you guys training per week?
We were going 4 days a week for about 45 minutes.
And what kind of workouts were they?
What it was more, hanging leg raises and core work and planks and more stretching and just getting the body attuned that way. And then as we ventured for that year of putting on muscle that I never had or knew I had. That took a year, and that came down to 5 days a week.
Well,
And then it got to the point where I needed a little more expertise. So he had directed me to another group who I've been with to this day, and they've been remarkable to be with. They're called Agents of Change. George and Meredith Christo, who are a phenomenal team of husband and wife, and they're both pros.
well, Gary, I was gonna say you don't get arms like that by doing core exercises and stretching, right? What are you working on currently? Are you doing full body every day, or do you dedicate leg days to legs, back and buys, chest and tries, shoulders? What is your routine?
Okay, as an example, today at 5:30 we'll have leg day, and there's 3 of us that work together, that train together, and then George is our coach. And George really kicks our ass on leg day. And we are now doing leg days 2.5 days a week. We do the quads and that on Monday. And then on Thursday, we'll do glutes, calves, and different things. And then either pick a Saturday or a Sunday, and I'll do extensions, and we'll do 250 extensions, 25 pounds, and a set of 50. And just to concentrate on that. Because for this next go around, you guys, I'm planning my first pro show June 28th, 2025 here at the Palladium in Carmel. And so it's time to get it in gear.
Yeah, that's exciting.
Entirely different ballgame.
That is exciting. So,
it is.
And I would imagine most people your age, right? If they're training to maintain and just mobility and to stay loose. You're training, you're still, I'm sure making progress every week, whether that be putting up more reps or putting up more weight. Is that accurate?
That's completely accurate because, tomorrow we'll do chest and biceps, chest and triceps. Then we'll do shoulders on Wednesday. Then we'll do back on Thursday or back on Friday, just depending what it is. However we switch it, however we all feel towards the end of the week. And George is an interesting individual. He is, as I mentioned, you guys, he has this pro card. He was also an English literature professor at IU.
Oh, wow.
For years. And so here we've got this intellectual guy who's quoting Socrates and Teddy Roosevelt and, all the Winston Churchill. And you're like, hell, you're afraid to send him a text. Like your grammar's going to be terrible.
That's great.
He's just that. And he knows how to motivate you and get under your skin, and he'll get on you, but in a different intellectual mindset kind of way, which is pretty cool.
Totally.
So Gary, for our listeners who might not know, we let everyone know how old you are currently.
I am 71, and I will be 72 August 10th of 25, and hopefully I'll do well in the pro show here in Indianapolis, and then I'll do the pro nationals in Pittsburgh in September.
And Gary, are your shows, are they a competition based on age, or is it all ages?
Well, for the masters, it's separate ages. Like the one in New Jersey at the New Jersey Universe this past July, it was 40 to 50, 50 to 60, 60 to 70, and 70 and up. Well, when I got there, they had, because the week before, the Saturday before, I won the 60s in Indianapolis. So they had me in the 60s in New Jersey. Now, when George and I landed in New Jersey, July 4th afternoon, and we're walking through the venue, you can imagine, you guys, it's one of the biggest shows on the East Coast. These guys are walking around, they're huge. I'm like, George, what the fuck did you get me into? And he goes, you're going to be fine. And when I went for pre-judging, they said, well, Nance, you're in the 60s as well as the 70s. I said, no, the 70s. They said, no, you're already paid for it. You might as well do it. And I don't know if you guys know much about those at that level where it's purely age groups, but there were 29 guys in the 60 age group. And when you go out for pre-judging, if you don't make the cut of the top 5, you don't go on stage that night. You're done. You go home. And son of a bitch, if I didn't make the top 5. And I was excited about that. And then, I did the 70 pre-judging, and I was pretty confident there because I never left the middle. And then that night for the evening show, and they brought there were 5 of us out for the 60 group, and I got 4th. I was excited, because there's a big difference between a guy's body who's 60 and 62 and a guy that's 70, 71.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I'm super fascinated by, when you were that 46 waist to now, how different your mental clarity was in terms of now versus when you were overweight and pre-diabetic. I would imagine at this point in time, you rarely forget things anymore. You're much more mobile. Like what's the difference in your life from then to now?
well, the energy level physically is outstanding. It's beyond belief. And the clarity level, things don't bother me as much as they did. And I think that's a combination from losing weight and the focus, as well as, I was given last rites twice, you guys. And when you've had that, gone through that kind of life-threatening experience, your focus is completely different. So you mesh those two together, and your outlook towards everything is totally different.
Well, and another thing, I would imagine most people that are in your age group kind of find it hard to believe that you've been able to do what you do. They probably set these limitations upon themselves that's not even attainable. But you're a testament that is not the case.
Well, that's a very good point. And now from getting my pro card, I want to start approaching some of these nutrition companies and everything, because they're missing a huge market. I can't tell you how many people ask me, whether they're friends or business associates, or if I'm standing in line at the grocery store. Hey, buddy, what are you doing? How old are you? And I tell them, they flip out. And I said, just that protein powder in your coffee in the morning, it just eases you. It gets your body ready for the day, gets you ready for the afternoon workout. And they don't know how much better they can feel. Not necessarily to get up on stage, but to get up and pick up their grandchild and, play golf better and do things that, without getting up and going, ugh, every time. Yesterday was my grandson's 4th birthday, and there were all these kids at this blow-up play thing with the slides and everything. And some of these fathers, I was the one climbing up the slides with the little kids, and these guys are 30, 35 years old, and some 40, and they wouldn't even attempt it. And so that was kind of an eye-opening thing yesterday.
That's awesome. And you know what? I think if I was putting protein powder in my morning coffee, I'd be running to the bathroom. So kudos to you for that. But that's so funny. So speaking of consumption and things you put into your body, are you on creatine? Are you taking, what are you consuming from a supplement perspective?
I take the protein powder, and that's it anymore. That's
it.
All I do. That is it. And I eat a lot of eggs, a lot of chicken, a lot of fish. I mix in red meat at least twice a week. And when I got sick, they did have me on a testosterone program. My testosterone was really low. And it's amazing how many young men and middle-aged and people my age, their testosterone level is so low, they don't know how much better they'll feel if they get on a program. Now, so I was on that for a while, all run by my doctor. But I'm off of that right now because they were going through some blood issues on, my recent deal. And so they didn't want to have that to affect anything. So, I'm this natural guy, and it's worked out really well.
Was that testosterone replacement therapy?
Yes.
Okay. And that was extremely effective away, or it took some time?
To as many people that if their doctor would get out of that box and show them and to explain how much better they can feel doing it, I think everybody should get their testosterone checked and get on a program if it's too low. And
do you believe there's a certain age that's too young, or do you think it kind of starts in maybe your early 40s where you should look into that?
I would say 40s and up, start looking into it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Now, Gary, from what you were saying earlier, it sounds like you work out in the evening. What does a typical day look like for you then with your architecture and managing your gym schedule?
Well, you're probably going to be shocked with this, Evan, because I usually I wake up between 5:30 and 6. I'm in the office I live 5 minutes from the office. And I'm here by 7:30, and I go all day. And then I leave here about 4:45. I'll try to get at least 15 minutes in on cardio before training, and then we'll hit it from 5:30 to 6:30. It's never more than maybe an hour and 10 minutes max. And then, except on leg days, I won't do cardio afterwards. But right now I'm doing about 30 to 45 minutes a day cardio on the treadmill.
And are you doing things for recovery, such as, additional stretching, yoga, cold sauna, cold tub? Are you doing any of that kind of stuff?
Well, stretching is key, guys, and it's hard, and I don't do enough of it. But this past Friday, I had a 90-minute deep tissue stretch pull, and the guy just lectured the hell out of me. You got to do this. You're going to hurt yourself. I recently tore the tricep off my elbow, and so I had surgery. And you guys, I've done it before the two shows, the one here in Carmel and the one 7 days later in Jersey, but I didn't realize that I was misdiagnosed. They said, "Oh, it's just an inflammation, you're fine." And it ended up being a torn tricep. And so that put me back about 12 weeks. And part of that's from not stretching enough. But to answer your other question, I do the sauna every night at the gym, and it's a hot one. We get up to 180, 200 degrees. And then they don't have the cold plunge there, but I'll go and stick my head under the cold shower or something. And George, my trainer, when we're doing a show, he goes, "I don't want you to ever leave a shower hot. You leave that shower cold as long as you can stand it." And just to, get your body more attuned and relaxed and get everything flowing. But I firmly believe in the cold, hot scenario.
You mentioned you get to the office 7:40, 7:30, somewhere in that time frame. What is your daily life looking like in terms of drawing, in terms of meeting with, partners, clients? I know you said you're traveling quite often, but when you're in the office, what are you doing on a day-to-day basis?
Well, I will get in, like as an example, on Mondays. I'll get in here. I'll get some work done, and then at 10 o'clock, we've got this house about 10 minutes from here under construction. You guys have to see it. We'll post it. It's under construction. It's about 32,000 square feet. Indoor basketball, plunge, sauna, all the cool stuff you could ever want. And I hit that job site every Monday morning at 10 o'clock. Then I'll come back. I've been drawing up until the time this started.
Nice. Yeah, and another thing that
is on the wall, but
I look at, well, that's another thing I'm curious about, right? Here we are in November 2024, 2025 is right around the corner. Since you began drawing and since you entered the world of architecture, I would imagine it's changed significantly with the evolution of technology, right? How much of it with the pen and paper that you started with is now doing it with a tablet on a screen?
I love that you asked that question. And you guys are going to love this. I got to the point where I felt I was inadequate giving my clients CAD drawings and the 3D prints and all that. And I've been known because my left hand and when I do the drawings are very artistic. And I have clients that end up asking for sketches through the process so they could frame them in their house. That's awesome. Maybe in a family room or down by the garage or somewhere, but they want. But I started doing a CAD program where I could do my sketches. And I'll never forget this. Very, very astute client of mine from Chicago and Northern Indiana, very wealthy family in this country. And she looked at the sketch, and it was on 11 by 17. And I could tell her she had this face like, something's wrong. And I knew I had everything on there. She said, "What the hell's this?" And I said, "Well, that's what we talked about 2 weeks ago." And she goes, No. I'm paying you for your left hand. Don't ever bring me this again. And so the way we've got it set up is, I'm the idea guy. I do all the sketches, and then I use 2 or 3 different firms to do all the CAD architecture drawings. And we'll do the 3D CAD renderings a little bit later once a project goes, but they don't want that from me. They want the hand-drawn sketches.
And Gary, for our listeners who might not know, CAD is computer aided design.
That is
What would you have to tell them so they have a better understanding of what that might
what
be?
that is. That's taking someone's sketch and putting it in a hard format. The trouble is, a lot of it doesn't have the life and the emotion. When these people are paying this kind of money for a design service, they want that emotion and they want it to feel like they did it and it's theirs and it's their, like I said, it's their art piece. And when they
Absolutely.
look at the 3D CAD, they're kind of lifeless, and they get the point done, but they unless you get into the really cool 3D renderings that we also do, where you can see them, the sun come up in the morning and see how the light's going to change all the way through the house. We can walk through the house visually, and the fireplace comes on, and it's all done electronically. It's spectacular, but they don't want that at the beginning. They want that later.
That's cool.
Absolutely.
And I'm happy you brought up your left hand, and that clearly is something that is attached to you, right? Like physically and metaphorically. And for anyone listening to this, that we have a lot of younger 20 somethings, 30 somethings that listen to the show. Anyone building a business, a brand, what advice would you give to them about building a reputation?
You know what? I will get different classes, architecture classes and design classes that'll come here towards the end of the school season, and they're touring different architecture firms. And if there's one thing I stress to the young people, I said, hey, there's a lot of people out there more talented than me, but you've got to be able to draw in front of them. I'll have clients sitting right here, right across from me. I'll draw upside down in front of them. They've got it, and they just flip out. And you got to have an emotion, an enthusiasm, and sell it. So many of these young people, it just blows up. They stand there, they have no excitement. The deadpan face, and you got to be able to sell yourself. And why should they hire you? Why should they hire you as opposed to that guy? And about a year ago, in the Wall Street Journal, every Friday's articles, it's called the Mansion section. It's about design and architecture around the world. Every Friday morning in the Wall Street Journal. And recently, there was an article in there about, I think the Dean of Harvard Architecture was talking about how they've got to get these students back to be able to draw and talk and sell and show that exuberance towards the client. And that's what's missing. And I think if a young person right now starting out can harness that, and that's going to be an easy road all the way through.
In this point in time, there's a lot of discussion around AI. Do you think AI is going to influence the world of architecture?
Yes. A friend of mine sent me a drawing, and he did that. He put a guidelines of a house out on the East Coast and on the water and everything else. And it was pretty surreal. It frightened me first. And then I started analyzing. It's still not that hand thought process. It's still a shell, but it doesn't have everything that goes in it yet.
It's anti-human, really.
It's anti-human. It really is.
Yeah, Gary. So our father, he's been building custom homes for over probably 30 years now. So we all have a deep appreciation for architecture and custom homes. And we've been around a lot of houses being built and seeing the drawings beforehand. He actually has an architect that you remind me of who does drawings. He could draw stuff upside down like that. And they'll say it's a lost art, the drawing of a building or a house. And I was showing him some of your work. We were going through your website. He was really impressed with your attention to detail on a lot of your houses, the interior, the exterior. Something he mentioned is he loves the way you build the home into the landscape and how you kind of use them as partners. You're not just drawing a house. You're drawing a house on this specific piece of land and designing it so it kind of molds with it.
That's exactly right. Because when I get hired, it becomes official. I go out to the site with the client, and you're looking at, is there a sycamore down the way, or is there some view? I'm the big view guy, and also to make it to capture the daylight and how the sun's going to transcend through this project, whether it's spring, winter, fall. It's all important. It's just not sitting down and putting a piece of paper down and drawing a courtroom. Hell, anybody could do that. And then I also work with OEG, Chad Bruick, on the landscaping, and Hoff does most of my construction. And, and Amanda Lance does the interiors with the furniture, and Rob Klein of CFKM does the kitchens. And it just makes for one heck of a team. Like I was saying earlier, it really puts together a group that people feel comfortable with it. And it looks like it's meant to be.
Yeah.
Well, and Gary, what is the biggest project you've ever worked on?
Well, I think the one going right now that I see every Monday morning is probably the largest, you guys. It has, and the couple is so cool. They got 3 teenage boys. They're low key as can be, the family, and they're very sports oriented. So they love working with us. And I had remodeled their house a few years ago, and we have a full-size indoor basketball court. We've got a workout room that's probably, oh my God, 30 by 40 feet. You go upstairs to the golf simulator area, and they've got the one that's the Tiger Woods that moves around. And then you walk out to a balcony because the property drops off in the back. We built a 4-acre pond lake, and then these huge steel beams come off the back and cantilever out about 20, 25 feet. And we've got a metal canopy up with heaters and a net around the platform, and you go out there and do top golf. And then we've got a creek that goes under the house that you do a walkway to go to the master suite. Wow. So there's going to be water flowing all through, down the hill, down to the pool, down to the pond. And I'll send you some pictures of it.
Yeah, that sounds amazing.
Is that your idea? Like, do you come up with these ideas to draw that? Do you draw those? Like everything that goes on with this house, do they come from you, or is it collaborative? Like, do you draw those ideas?
I'm doing the house and the structure.
Okay.
OEG is doing, the landscape and the fountains and the ponds. And when we plant trees, or OEG plants trees, you guys, their tree trunks are this big around. We're not waiting 20 years for this shit to grow. I mean, it's like mature going in. And we have spectacular windows on this project that Corey of Franklin Windows, she's an amazing woman here. And we've got windows and doors, glass doors that are, oh my God, 14 feet high. The front door is 14 feet high by 8 feet wide.
Wow.
And glass that slides automatically and tucks back into the walls. And, it takes somebody with, talent and imagination to help work with us as a team. Because a lot of times that whole team is here, and the client, they don't even want to be part of it. You guys figure it out and show it.
Yeah, awesome.
Gary, did you have a mentor?
I did. John Kleinops, that builder I was talking about, I was always enamored with him. He was Latvian. He came here from Latvia years ago and built national homes for Gene B. Glick back in the early 60s. He came over here penniless, made a ton of money because he took his European flair and built these incredible houses. And he was a big marble, type guy, vaulted ceilings and different things of that sort, and very quality oriented. And it was him here personally. And then I was always enamored with Robert Stern, who's a big East Coast architect. And I think combination of all that and a lot of research and a lot of fun and the love of art and design and looking at different things, from Michelangelo and the way he did all those incredible buildings, paintings, to what we have today. I'm always thinking. Yeah, I'm always looking back and taking historical things, trying to make them my version of it.
What are your thoughts on modern architecture?
Oh, I love it. And see, people go, yeah, Gary, you do these lake houses or this or that, but we've got a lake house that we did recently that even though it has 300-year-old parquet floor in it, it's flat roof, glass, contemporary, hard, slick looking. And we've got one getting ready to start that's going to be like a big white box. And so I like all design. And people go, well, what's your specialty? Or what's your favorite house? I always tell them it's my next one. It's 27 pounds, because you never know. And I've got this one house I did years ago that looks like, oh my God, I was so French. Marie Antoinette would love being in it. And then I've got another one that's so colonial, you think George Washington's in it. And then here's this high-end contemporary home, and that's what makes design fun.
Yeah.
All right. You're incredibly versatile, kind of be as creative as you possibly can.
Absolutely.
With that said, where in the world have you traveled to where you've come back with the most inspiration?
Probably one of my favorite trips, and I was mentioning Corey Brown and the window company took about 5 or 6 of us to Italy a few years. Well, it's been a while now. And I think I was more influenced on that trip by the architecture of Italy, especially in the Venice area and the further north from there in the Alps. And it just has resonated with me to this day. And even though I always was a big fan of English architecture and French architecture, there's something about what the Italians did that is so damn cool.
Are there any current, cultures where architecture is completely different? Not historically, but present day, where they're creating things that really just are different than everywhere else in the world?
Well, you know what? If you look at what they're doing in Dubai,
Oh, yes.
One of my bucket trips is Dubai. I have 2 major bucket trips, and one's Dubai. And I mean, that one building that looks like that huge sail that goes up, I just can't even imagine. And then that development that looks like the crescents, I forget what they call it, it's a religious term, but can't think of what it is now, with the houses all in the fingers out in the bay. I mean, it's phenomenal engineering and phenomenal design. In fact, a company that we use quite a bit is based out of north of Venice, and their largest market is Dubai and China for these incredible, I don't know if you can see that. Well, that's a door right there. It's 8 feet wide by 10 feet tall, and they'll make them even bigger than that, and they pivot on a single hinge, and you can just slide it with your little finger, and it just shuts them lock.
Wow.
Too cool. Yeah.
I mean, it's pretty pricey, but
That's amazing though. Gary, we spoke a lot about your custom home and your residential homes. Have you done any commercial buildings in your time as being an architect?
well, my background is commercial, but I've always loved residential, and I've done a few buildings. And when I was with a major architecture firm for 12 years, when I got out of school in Chicago, and I was with what's called C.F. Murphy at the time. They did McCormick Place. They did the state of the Illinois building. It was major stuff. And then it became Helmut Jahn and Associates. I was there for a good 12 years, but my wife and I were living downtown in Chicago. We wanted to start a family. I love residential. We're like, we're out of here. I'm always curious to think what would have happened had I stayed, but I'm very happy with the way it's turned out. And,
Gary, you mentioned you lived in Chicago. Did you study and go to college up there in
I
Chicago?
was at Ball State, and then I was at a design school in Chicago, Harrington at the time, is defunct now. And then it's funny that was during the time of the early 80s, if I get my time right, and the economy was horrible. People in the design and architecture business were, you're waiting tables. And we had a couple architects from Perkins and Will and Murphy Jahn and different people come in to critique our senior projects. And this one woman, she said, I'd like to talk to you about coming in for an interview. And I said, yes, I'm happy to do that. And I went in for the interview, and they ended up hiring me. And I remember I graduated on Friday and I started there Monday morning. So I was so grateful to get a job. And we lived right downtown, just north of Oak Street, 2 blocks in from the lake. Paid a fortune for a little tiny 1-bedroom apartment. But, I walked to work. Our office was across from the Art Institute, overlooking Grant Park.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Lake. It couldn't be. I mean, for a young couple living in Chicago and living life. Of course, all of our friends were jealous. Hey, God, you're living in this cool area. we only go out when you guys come up because it's too damn expensive. All we do is walk.
So, Gary, when did you decide to start your own architecture company? And then when did you move to Carmel?
That was about, almost 30 years ago now. And I just, I was with different people and different partners in the business, and they'd go off on different ventures or not want to do what I want to do, and they had their own ideas. And, when you're in this business, it's a pretty headstrong group of people.
Yeah.
And so we had lived in Indianapolis and moved to Carmel, and because we were also over in Fishers, and Fishers and Carmel hate each other, especially the high school sports teams. And but then we moved over here just before I got sick, and everything. We bought a lot. We were lucky to get this great lot that backs up to the Monon, and just north of Main Street, 2 blocks. And we built that house about 2 years ago now. And I just love being here. I love, like your facility that you just opened on the corner. When we walk our little dog around the city, it reminds us of being in Petoskey, Michigan, where I do a lot of work. You feel like you're on vacation.
Yeah, it's a beautiful area.
It's a beautiful area. And that's one thing that the NPC for these 2 contests recently, they're going to be at the Palladium. They're just blown away by having a venue for bodybuilding here in Carmel, Indiana, because it'll be at the Palladium. You've got people coming in from all over the country and possibly the world for these pro shows coming up this summer. And everyone's so excited. The mayor, we even had lunch at Monterey last week. The mayor's going to do NPC bodybuilding the day, and maybe the key to the city to the few of the key people.
That's amazing.
So you've got the ability of a city to get behind you, which is really not that, but
Carmel's a wonderful city.
What a time to be a Hoosier, right? Exciting stuff happening in central Indiana, throughout the entire state. Gary, this has been good, right? It's been a lot of fun, informative. But before we wrap this up, have a couple rapid fire questions we want to send your way. All right, you ready?
I'm ready.
Chicken and rice or steak and potatoes?
Chicken and rice.
All right.
Commercial drawing or residential drawing?
Residential.
Morning workout or evening workout?
Like evening.
Mountain house or beach house?
I'm sorry?
Mountain house or beach house?
Oh, beach.
Yeah, same. Leg day or upper body day?
Leg day wins.
All day. Sauna or steam?
Sauna.
Fruits or vegetables?
Fruit.
There we go.
Yeah, that's last one. Peyton Manning or Andrew Luck?
Now, what do you think?
Come on.
Listen, there's great potential there with Luck. That's a shame, but nonetheless, Gary Nance, great pleasure welcoming you to our show. I'm happy we did this. I'm happy you and Ethan connected, and look forward to connecting with you in person in the very near future. Gary Nance, we appreciate you very much. Thanks for coming on our show.
No, thanks for taking the time to have me on, and it's quite a story that I'm sure you've seen, and hopefully your viewers will see it. And say, hey, just because you're older in life, you can change it. Look at this 2 major sicknesses I had. Don't let that get you down. I was in a wheelchair and couldn't walk for 9 weeks. You can pull yourself out. It's all mental. And if you can do it, God bless you, and you can make a change.
Well, God bless you. Thank you for sharing your story with us, Gary.
See you, gentlemen. Appreciate you.